Okay, let's go and create a drip campaign. Drip drippy. All right, under leads and contacts, we're going to click drip marketing. And then what we need to do first is create the letters. We need to have the letters ready so that we can put them into a campaign. So we'll create our sort of stock buyer campaign here. And we have a bunch of letters in here. You'll see in the brackets we sort of have our core buyer and seller ones. And in the beginning, this is probably enough to keep you going. You don't really need to get too fancy. You'll use these as a guide. Now, key thing to know is that you need to copy these because they need to be sort of dressed up to fit you. You need to put your links in them, your name, and stuff like that. So they're here just as a guide. So go to first, we're going to go to buyer day one, and you're going to repeat this process for each of these letters that you want to use, or you can start new. If you start new, you'll just add a fresh one from scratch by hitting add entry at the top here. But I'm going to show you how to use one of our existing in this tutorial. Buyer day one, did you get the list okay? I'm going to click on this little icon, the first one over here on the right, and it's going to ask me if I want to make a copy of that. I'll say yes, and I'll name it whatever I want. I'll say buyer day one. Maybe you'll do something like my buyer day one so that you know it's yours. Did you get the list okay? Hit next. And you'll want to scroll through all of these options, hitting the right arrow button, and then click next when you're done doing that, because we don't really want a header in there. Just checking to see if you got the list of blank okay, and then you're going to insert whatever it happens to be. Maybe you're in St. Louis, and it was St. Louis foreclosures. Okay. For future reference, here's the link again. HTTP, St. Louis, foreclosures.com, whatever your link happens to be. Might be a you might like this link, whatever you've done with us. And then it's going to have your footer. It's going to put your agent name and everything in there for you. You can click next and hit save letter. And then right here, our my buyer letter will be available and active and ready to go. Now the next thing you need to do, once you've gone and created all the letters you want in a campaign, is you're going to go back up to drip marketing under leads and contacts, click drip marketing, go to campaigns, and you'll add an entry. You're going to add a new campaign. I clicked add campaign. So down here at the bottom, add entry, new campaign, and we're going to do it based on a timeline. If you want to do one-time blast, you can do that by sending a letter on a specific date. But here we're going to send based on the campaign start date. Campaign name, we'll call this buyer generic campaign. Something like that, just for example. And then we'll go, and our first letter will be the my buyer day one. We'll send this one day after the start. If we click add letter, we can add another one, and so forth. So you go down, you'd have all the letters you want in the order you want, and you're always going to have to specify how many days after the previous letter you want this next one to go out. And click save. And you've created your campaign. Now, the final step is going to be to link your campaign, your buyer generic campaign, up with a web form. And in the next, well, I'll show you here, and then I'll do a separate one about how to do that too, about how to link a campaign up to a web form. So you go to contacts over here on the right, and then you'll go edit triggers, add a trigger, and you're going to select a web form. And let's say I want to link this up to my foreclosure list web form that I've created, and hit save. Now, anytime somebody fills out that web form, it'll trigger that campaign to get started. So to recap, in this whole process, creating a drip campaign and linking it to a web form, the first thing we did was go and make sure we had all our letters ready to go. Now you can always add more letters later to an existing campaign if you want and edit it, but you want to have your letters set up and ready to go. Then you're going to go and create the campaign. You'll go and create the campaign, and then you're going to click that little contacts thing and edit the triggers.